The Toronto Raptors fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves on a disappointing night for Toronto Raptors fans. This is Raptors Today. I'm Akil Augustine. That's Sherman Hamilton. That's Paul Jones. And gentlemen, let's get into it. We obviously start where we finished, and that is a fourth quarter collapse, unfortunately, for the Toronto Raptors. Break it down from your vantage point, from your eyes, Jonesy. What did you see that went wrong for this Raptors group?
The simplicity of it for me, Akil, is something we've been lamenting defensively for the entire year. The inability to keep people in front of you caused breakdowns, led to open shots. One guy in particular, D'Angelo Russell, gets hot, and they can't turn the water off. And they
couldn't turn the water on either.
Well, and then I was going to say, at the other end, again, something we have been harping on is the inability to make shots. They were, I believe, the numbers were 6 of 19 in the fourth quarter.
With 5-minute stretch?
With 31%.
With 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that Toronto had more turnovers than Minnesota last night. And the shot making through the first 3 quarters was covering up the fact that they weren't scoring as much as they normally do off turnovers. They weren't turning Minnesota over. At one point, I don't remember what the final number was, but Raptors usually have more field goal attempts. They're third in the NBA.
That's part of the recipe. Win the turnover battle.
Get more shots. And even though you may not be shooting as high a percentage, you got more looks at the basket, right? And Raptors usually get 90-plus shots a game, on average 7 to 8, maybe up to 10 more than the opponent. If you make 3 of those, that's 6-8 points in a close game. It didn't happen because they didn't make shots and they turned it over. So the simplicity of it for me in the fourth quarter was couldn't stop, couldn't make shots when you weren't turning it over.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that throughout the season where the Raptors offensively struggled to find their consistent collective groove. Late game situation, it was surprising to see, but to me the 5 turnovers were just as significant.
Yes.
That's something we don't see from them, where late game situations is just turnover after turnover. And when they're taking possessions away from themselves by turning it over, and offensively they can't find any rhythm, they're not getting out in transition, and you're playing against a team that's shooting 55% in the fourth quarter. D'Angelo Russell goes nuts from the three-point line. All of a sudden now, that is the recipe for a loss. That's the recipe for another team gaining confidence, coming back, and really just walking you down consistently with your help of the gifts of turnovers. So that was the unusual thing. You know, the offensive struggles we've seen before, but the inability to take care of the basketball was very, very surprising to me.
Let me give you a number. The Raptors are now 5-11 in games that are 3 points or less with 1 minute to go.
Okay.
That's 29th in the NBA. Here's a team that used to make its money by winning close games and their experience and know-how and making winning plays, and it has deserted them this year. 5-11, 29th in the NBA in games that are 1 possession with a minute to go. You're losing. There's a lot of currency going out the window there.
And with all that being said, the Raptors actually had shots and an opportunity to
OG
win
had a
this
great
game.
look.
Yeah, a couple good looks. But it also came down to a call, and I was privy to a conversation between the two of you that I love the fans to see. The debate as to
They got to pay for that one. That's the pay-per-view.
We'll give them a taste, a sample right now. The debate between Sherman Jonesy about whether or not that call should have been called, the traditional reach-in, violating the space. D'Angelo Russell heads the line for 2 shots. Jonesy, you're saying somehow the league needs to do something about that call?
Well, a couple years ago, when James Harden was doing it, they were giving him shots.
Yes.
They've eliminated that sweep for shots now because you see the referees all the time blow the whistle and they go like this. No, he wasn't shooting. He was just moving side to side.
But unfortunately, they were in bonus.
They were in bonus. But to me, the entire purpose of that move by D'Angelo Russell was not to make a basketball play, but to draw a foul. Is it a foul? Yes. And it's like in a sense, it's like the legal system.
Yeah.
The legal system doesn't tell you what's right or wrong, even though we might morally think something is wrong. The legal system just tells you whether it's legal or illegal.
This is the basketball version of reasonable doubt.
And that play, to me, was nothing more than, let me get a foul here. It's not like he was sweeping and going and that was called on as part of a sequence of moves. It was strictly to get a foul. And I just think it's kind of cheesy. I think the officials, the NBA needs to kind of decondition and just say, if you do that in isolation, we're just going to let it go and say, play on. It's not like you were going to a shot or you lost the ball or it was part of a sequence of moves. And I know Sherm says it's a foul.
He did the right thing.
I just think it's too subjective if now we're saying, well, if it's not a part of a sequence of moves, then subjectively an official can decide whether or not it's a foul or the whistle should be blown. I think that it's a foul. They call it in the league. They don't call it all the time, but they call it. They've taken away the 3 points or the shot attempt that goes with it. But as a defender, you know that's being called.
Your hand's in the cookie jar.
So you've got to be more aware and not get your hand in there. And D'Angelo Russell just took advantage of a rule.
Absolutely.
And got a call.
Absolutely.
That is totally a part of the game.
The same way James Harden used to.
100%. Now that they've toned it down, now they've shown defenders, listen, we're still going to call this. We're not going to get shots. You got to get your hand out of there. And that late in the game, D'Angelo Russell made a smart play within the guidelines of the rules, and the Raptors got called for a foul. If we tried to back it with it's not a part of a sequence of moves, we know how good these guys are. And players can change in a split second how they operate. And if I sweep through and there's no foul, I might continue and go. I might.
An advantage might be gained.
And I mean, that's what the NBA wants, right? They want the offense. Look at the way things are being called. And I get that. But the same way the players can adapt to words like, dribble into a guy's path and jump sideways to get the foul, they've outlawed that right now, right? It's abrupt. It's abnormal. Shoot the jump shot, kick your leg out. No. Just to get the contact? No, that's on you now. So my point is,
I have a problem with that call too.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, the rules need to evolve as the players.
My point is, in examining all this, same way the transition take foul has been put in, and I think they need to look at that. The Raptors had one last week against Milwaukee where they called a transition take
in
foul
the front court.
In the front court with three guys back.
Players behind it. Yeah.
So let's be a little more discerning. This is not the YMCA where we're teaching young children how to play ball. This is grown man basketball.
The best of the best.
Where we're playing for money. So I you know what? To Sherm's point, Russell very smartly took advantage of that. I just don't like the way that you can use the loophole like that.
All right, well, as the game evolves with the rules, Scotty Barnes continues to evolve. Kevin Garnett took note, of course, saying the young OG doing his thing. He's the future for the Raptors. Well, he was the present last night. Numbers speak to that. 29 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. How impressive was it to see him excel? Not only that dunker role that they put him in, but also in the center of the key. He's really blossoming as a player in this role, Sherm.
He is, and we shouldn't be surprised. It's kind of the fulcrum of offense. When you get that ball into that free throw line area, you become the decision maker, the playmaker, the scorer. You have all those options at your disposal, and Scotty has the tools to execute all those options at any given time. Plus, he has the wherewithal basketball-wise to see what needs to happen. What I really like about Scotty was he had 20 of his 29 in the second half.
Yeah. Showed up big time.
He showed up when they needed him to. And unfortunately for Scotty, he didn't have enough help in that fourth quarter offensively. But he was phenomenal. And the efficiency, he's doing it at such an efficient rate. And I think now that they play him in that screen and roll or that kind of short roll position, defenders can't hang out in the paint and wait for him to come. You've got to meet him and make a decision because he can make that shot, and he has that push shot. So now he's more aggressive. He's making, I feel, more decision-oriented, stronger,
yes,
mentally tougher. Let's go get it right now instead of let's wait and see what's happening. And that changes the way the offense flows for the Raptors.
I'm going to throw a number out here. I did the game on the radio last night with our guy, Javon Shepard, and he had a number, and I hope I have it right here. I mean, these numbers come at you from the mathematicians all the time, and I respect this coming from a basketball guy, that Scotty is shooting something like 70% as the roll man in screen and roll situations. And to Sherm's point, what did we see last night?
Dunks,
catch in the short roll, boom, make a decision, go into a jump shot. The one dunk we just saw on the screen there, caught it at the nail. All options open, a shot fake.
The shot fake really had them
boom,
off their feet.
And a dunk. So he's showing that he can be a playmaker with the ball and also a playmaker very nicely when he's receiving the ball.
All right, well, enough from us. Let's hear from the players post-game.
I think you went like almost 5 minutes to a basket there in the fourth quarter. What goes wrong with the offense for that length of time?
I thought we got good looks. I thought we were executing a little bit. We hit the short roll a couple of times, a couple of missed bunnies. We just didn't finish the plays. But I thought our offense was okay. Not great, obviously. Whatever it was there. We didn't score for a while. But just got to continue to keep executing. I thought, they definitely picked up the physicality late. And, we didn't get the benefit of the whistle, some of those plays at the rim. But, again, you should, be able to rely on your defense to keep you in it. And if we're going to score 17, we probably need to hold them to 16, you know what I mean? And it didn't go that way for us tonight. So that's a tough one for sure.
In the first half, it seemed like you could get your feet in the play and kind of moment, a lot of those kickouts and some finishes. Did they adjust in the second, or did you guys kind of make an adjustment to get Scotty more involved on the ball?
Yeah, they adjusted a little bit. They were a lot more aggressive, obviously, on the ball. They saw late in the fourth. They put 2 on the ball quite a bit. I was able to hit the short roll. But, yeah, I got other guys on the team as well. So Scotty was able to break free. He had a big second half. Pascal got some buckets there. So it's just the way the game goes sometimes. You got to continue to make the right plays. And, I thought my teammates did a great job in the second half, but just, not good enough to come out of it with a win.
When D'Angelo, he can get rolling every time, it seems, but after he hits the 1 or 2, is there an adjustment you make there?
Yeah, for sure. You try to find them, but I think if you look at all of them, most of them, probably 80% of them were transition, off of our misses or turnovers. We definitely turned the ball over more than usual tonight, 16. I think, that's pretty high for us. So they were getting out in transition, and then, the matchups and the flow was kind of funky on the defensive end. So he was able to shake free, made a couple tough ones. So, yeah, he's a tough player, and he made the smart play there late to draw the foul to go up 2. We got a, nice look for 3, for the win, but just didn't go in.
What in your game has sort of changed the last couple of weeks? Your numbers are getting off the charts all over the floor, scoring, rebounding, assisting. What have you felt in the last 10 years?
I've been feeling pretty much the same. My body feels better. I can say that. Body feels better. But pretty much mostly everything's the same. It's just every game's different. How you attack, game plan, how the team's playing you. I would just say that takes account.
Are you finding ways to adapt to how teams play you differently?
I feel like I'm a smart basketball player, so I can find the ways on how teams playing me and just go through it that way. No matter who's guarding me, if they're 5-man or 1-man's guarding me, it's just about finding ways how to attack the game.
You say your body's feeling better. You have some ankle sprains you're doing here. Anything else or is it just you getting a little more rest and being at home and stuff?
It was some. It was just like little things, slight tendonitis, stuff like that. But body feels good, I won't say. Yeah, like knee tendonitis, but the body feels good, mostly. Just continuing to stretch, get treatment, make sure my body's right every day.
All right, shifting focus, the Raptors bench has been a hot topic of conversation all season long, and we saw Nick Nurse try something new. We got our first taste of Jay Weezy, Joe Exotic, Joe Wieskamp, of course, 3 for 3 from three-point line. And your impressions of this young man and what he can add to the second unit for the Toronto Raptors. I'll start with you, Jonesy.
Hey, man, you come to shoot. Like, do what you do. Your strength is shooting. That's why they got him. And, 3 for 3 and just trying to fit in. I like the way – it's his second 10 days, so now you've got to have to make a decision. Are we keeping this guy or not?
Yeah.
Because we didn't see him that much, at least game-wise, in the first
He got an appearance at the 9:05 and looked really good. 19 points, showed out. A little bit more athletic than we thought.
But I just thought he did a great job of playing his role, staying within it. I noticed Nick Nurse played a little bit of zone when he was on the floor, maybe to try and hide him or mitigate the fact that any rotations that he didn't know, hey, man, we'll play the zone, hands up, high school, hands up, Harry, play your area. But I like what he did when he was on the floor. I thought he fit in, he didn't force, and when the shots came to him, he knocked them down.
I always enjoy seeing players who have a specific skill And when they hit the floor, there's no doubt that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like, he started to shoot the ball, and you're like, this guy's a shooter. He shoots the basketball.
True to his resume.
100%. And to Jonesy's point, it's a second 10 day. They need to make a decision on him. And he needs to make it really tough for them to get rid of him.
And he
And
did.
knocking down
fourth quarter minutes?
100%. Knocking down those 3 threes was excellent. A team that's struggling to shoot the three. Tell you what, that's a great impression to make in those minutes. So, I mean, he struggled in terms of the 2-point situation, but he shot the ball well. He worked at it defensively. He stayed within himself. I liked what I saw from him.
You know, we're going to see a team on Saturday in Boston who's got a guy like that too, right? Hauser?
Yep.
Like just
Sam Hauser, knockdown
That's
shooter.
what he does. I come in, I shoot. I might not get you a rebound. I might not get you assist.
But I'm not going to turn down a shot.
But when the ball comes to me, I'm going to shoot that ball. And so, yeah, the Raptors have a decision to make now.
All right, well, the choice is yours, Nick Nurse, and we hand it off to Nick Nurse right now with his post-game comments.
Well, I think a couple things. We've done a really good job on pressing up on some of the shooters until the fourth. Russell obviously got him going, shook free a little bit. Got hurt on a couple back cuts as well in the paint. So, few miscues there on defense, and then I don't know. We just didn't probably get enough quality looks at the offensive end either, and it was too bad on some of them because we made the right plays and then didn't take the shot. Like, we got the ball deep in the paint, maybe to the dots a couple times, and tried to make an interior pass that got knocked away. And then obviously we had three really good looks down the stretch and didn't make any of them. You just got to make one of those probably, and you're in good shape.
The defensive issues, is it details? Is it like not finishing plays or not starting plays right?
Well, again, there was a lot of good stuff defensively. We had a ton of deflections again, not a ton of recoveries, but getting our hands on a lot of things. Details of certain guys that were trying to make play inside the 3-point line didn't get done there for a little bit. Couple of miscommunications on some slip screens down the lane. But then again, fix that again as the last kind of 2 minutes unfolded. And then they scored the winning buckets on a free rip through and a 30-foot foul on a rip through. Was a pretty tough way for that game to be decided.
Yeah, when Russell got going there, I mean, is it almost too late? Not too late, but is it hard to kind of make that quick an adjustment with playing 4 straight?
Well, he obviously got going, right? But I don't think it's ever too late to you just gotta really get out to him and press up and make him bounce it, right? Or make him almost drive it inside the line and make something else happen, especially after he's hit maybe a couple, right?
Welcome back, and do remember, Raptors fans, today is the last day to get triple voting for your guy Pascal Siakam, a.k.a. P. Skills, into the All-Star game.
Can we have triple voting in, like, the federal election? Like if I vote on one day, I get 3 votes for the person I vote for?
Depends on which machines you're using. Oh, okay. No, that's a joke. I take that back. But, yeah, no, you got to make sure and you get all your votes in before midnight Saturday, and that is your last opportunity to vote for Pascal Siakam and get him into that starting lineup. Let's talk about that All-Star game, though, because it's a tough one. You look at the front court for the Eastern Conference. Does Pascal Sherm have a chance to sneak in there, or is this just way too stacked of a roster?
Well, he has a chance, but it's going to be difficult when you look at the front court players. There's a lot of talent there, man, and you just look at that list. If Pascal gets in there, who does he pass?
Yeah.
Who are you going to replace to put Pascal in there? And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, Pascal's doing a great job, but are you going to put him in front of a Giannis? Kevin Durant.
Luckily, Durant may not be available.
Tatum, yeah, Joel Embiid. Like, those 4 guys are undeniably
they're solid.
The top 4 in the Eastern Conference. So it's just tough to put Pascal in front of that, although his numbers have been phenomenal. They have been off the charts good. Yeah. And sometimes you kind of get capped out at the level because those 4 guys I just mentioned,
the ceiling,
their numbers are phenomenal too, and they have established resumes too. So it's just difficult right now.
I just think that if the voting doesn't do it for Pascal, the coaches that game plan against Toronto,
it's more important.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a popularity thing, but the coaches go, that guy keeps me up at night. Like, I got to figure out how to stop Siakam. Like, you don't think Tom Thibodeau worries when he's got to play Toronto? You don't think Joe Mazzulla's coming in here on Saturday going, man, we got to look at like Pascal, so hopefully if the popularity contest doesn't work for Pascal, the coaches that game plan every night say, man, this guy deserves, in my eyes, he deserves a look. Now, not all the coaches might feel that, but and to me, that's more of an honor when the coaches give it to you.
And your peers.
As opposed to the popularity.
Sometimes we just don't get what we deserve in life.
It happens.
Very true, very true. The NBA fans in Paris are getting what they deserve, which is an opportunity to watch the elite level that is NBA basketball with the Pistons and the Bulls. Bulls walking away with that big win. But let's talk about the international game. A huge opportunity for basketball fans across the globe. The NBA's been in Mexico, France, England. I want to know if you guys are involved in the decision-making process, where to next for the NBA as they continue their global tour?
That guy right there, Wembeano.
Yeah,
that's where it is next.
Okay. Yeah, obviously he's the hot topic right now. And
somebody said Detroit went to recruit him. That's why they played the game in France.
The timing couldn't have been better for when this game happened in terms of.
Well, the world is open for the NBA, right?
Yeah.
The way that the NBA has globally been able to bring the brand out and really give a lot of exposure to it. It's, to me, I don't think there's anywhere that the NBA wouldn't be able to touch if they choose to. Obviously, logistically, it has to be worked out, but it's such a global brand. Yeah. It's just, it's a worldwide product now.
Sherman and I we've been fortunate. We called a game 2016 in
London.
In London.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, we both played in corners of the world. I think the two untapped frontiers in terms of let's bring a game there and show the people the league. I think they got to get to the African continent.
That was where I was going to say.
And they've got to get to South America, especially with. I mean, you think of Argentina, Brazil, the players that we've drawn from that area, and the African continent right now, look at the players they're sending to the NBA.
Yeah.
Look at what Basketball Without Borders, Giants of Africa, these things are doing to teach these kids the game and have them develop. You get a guy like Siakam or Koloko or Joel Embiid, all these kids. I would love to see a game go to, with Masai in Toronto, put a game in Nigeria. Put a game in the Cameroon. Let's play in Africa somewhere. To me, that would be the next place that I would love to see a game go to.
As we continue to speak about the expansion of the game, we hand it over to Savannah with some more big news.
Well, great news came out this week that the WNBA will be holding their first ever preseason game in Canada that will take place in Scotiabank Arena on May 13th. Now, it's very fitting that we're here in Minnesota as the Lynx will be one of the teams competing that day against the Chicago Sky. I actually caught up with Bridget Carleton, a national team member, as well as a member on the Lynx last season, and she told me that she's very excited that the opportunity is going to be great for not just the city but the country as well. And that, it's important to see boys and girls watching high-level professional women's basketball right firsthand. So all those factors contribute. Of course, I'm excited. I'm sure you guys are too. Akil?
Okay, up next for the Toronto Raptors, a streaking Boston Celtics team, 8 straight wins. But let's talk about the MVP chances for their best player, Jason Tatum. Is he in the conversation finally, or can someone knock off Jokic from his reign of dominance?
I absolutely think Jason Tatum is in the conversation. No question. Boston leading the East. They're coming into Toronto having won 8 in a row. He is the main guy on their team, and people can take this for what it's worth, a guy that I don't necessarily want to square up against and try to beat him when the game is in the clutch on the defensive end. Yeah, he's in the conversation.
Best player on the best team right now?
Of course he's in the conversation. He's one of the leading candidates.
Can he take it, though?
Well, that's yet to be seen, but the way he's playing, he definitely deserves a serious consideration for MVP. And we know what Jokic is doing, but this guy has been off the charts good. And I think when you're talking about potential championship team, I don't look at Denver as a potential championship team
Yes.
the way I look at the Boston Celtics as a potential championship team. So I would definitely say that Jason Tatum, he's up there in terms of
That hasn't
one of
stopped
the elite
Jokic
players.
before, unfortunately.
No, and it may come down to something that I wonder if Jokic will suffer the same fate as Michael, LeBron, Kobe, Shaq, and it's called voter fatigue. You get used to how good he is, and you just, okay, let's give it to somebody else. Are people going to start to say that with Jokic? Okay, well, this is what he does.
Okay. Well, up next, a rare evening game for the Toronto Raptors, a 5 p.m. tip against Jason Tatum and his Boston Celtics as they try to snap that streak and start a streak of their own. You can catch the game on TSN and catch the radio call on Sportsnet 590. I'm Akil Augustine. Have a great weekend on behalf of Sherman Hamilton, Paul Jones, and the rest of our crew.